This feature is called Guidelines and is one of the most important tools for teaching proper handwriting. Each student needs to learn how to write as straight as possible. The Guideline feature gives you complete flexibility when creating guidelines. The default colors, styles, and thicknesses are as you see them on the screen, but some teachers or parents use different combinations of the guidelines or don't show some of the guidelines at all. Make sure the text box is active by clicking on it. The active text box will have black squares in the corners and in the center of each edge. I have set the font size to 72 so you can see the guidelines and the letters a little better. The Guideline button is the one with the uppercase A and the 4 colored guidelines. Clicking on the Guideline button will turn the guidelines on or off as a group. To modify the option, let's first click on the down arrow to the right of the Guideline button, and the Guideline Style window will open. Each guideline has 3 features you can modify. The first is the line type, the next is the color, and the third is the guideline thickness. You will see that the example at the bottom will show you what the guidelines will look like before you click on them and modify your text box. Let's look at the top line. I will select each of the options so you can see what it does to the guidelines. You'll see this in the example at the bottom. First of all, I'll turn the guideline off, make it solid, make it dashed. Now I'm going to change the color. Let's change it to green. Now let's make it thicker. So we've got normal, thick, thicker, and thickest. You'll probably only use the thickest when you're using very large fonts so that they're easier to see. So I'm going to change the top line to black. Okay. Let's make it a thick line, not the thickest and not the thinnest. I'm going to change the middle line to red. Okay, and I'll leave it dashed, as you can see down in the example, and I'm going to leave the baseline red, and I'm going to leave the descender or bottom line black, but I'm going to make it a little thicker. Click OK, and I will have set the guidelines in my text box. I can also set this as the default by clicking in this little box where it says Set as Default, and then every time I open a text box after that, this will be the combination for the guidelines. Just click OK. Now you can see I've got the dashed on the top two and solid on the bottom two, black and red. Now suppose I want to emphasize a letter that's only formed in the middle area. So I'm going to turn the top guideline and the bottom guideline off. See how it looks in your example before you click OK. Now I can emphasize letters that just are formed in this area. A, C, E, M, N, O, S, R, V, W, X, Z. Now let's suppose I want to emphasize letters or practice letters that have a descending leg. So I'm going to make this a solid. And now I can type those letters. G, J, P, Q, and Y. And if I want to emphasize letters that go to the top, let's turn the bottom one off. We'll make the top solid, but I'm going to change that to a blue. You can see how it's going to look. Let's make the base one a little thicker. And now we can go B and D and H and K and L. So these are ways to use the different combinations of the guidelines to emphasize the letters you want to teach or practice. Now let's suppose again I want to emphasize letters that fit in the center area. Make this one solid so we can see it. But I want to keep all the guidelines to kind of give a visual of how the letters should be written and where they should be written in relation to those guidelines. I'm now going to use this in combination with my highlight area. A, C, E, M, N, Z, R, S, U, V, W. I can use this with any combination of highlight area and my guidelines. Guideline feature allows you to emphasize any line, any area by changing the color, changing the style, changing the thickness. And that's the guideline feature. Hope you have fun using Startwrite to teach handwriting. Let us know what you think about it.